Hello, this is Imagine Business. My name is Jeff Care, and today we are going to be talking about how to start and form a sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship is a kind of business ownership that is formed and managed by one person. However, there are different processes that you go through before you can become a sole trader or a sole proprietor. So as earlier discussed in one of our videos, we talked about different forms of business ownership. Now, we have sole proprietorship, we have limited liability companies, we have cooperatives, and we have partnerships. Amongst the different forms of business ownership, sole proprietorship is one of the quickest and the easiest ways to start a business. Actually, most of the limited liability companies start as sole proprietors. So there are different forms as to how sole proprietorship form of business may appear. Number one, they might appear as independent contractors or what we call freelancers. Now, these are kind of sole traders who majorly work based on contracts. They get to choose what clients to work with. They don't necessarily have a physical address. Could be a solo person. So you are a service provider, say a videographer, say a photographer. You are out there looking for jobs to do as a sole contractor or a freelancer. So these are types of sole proprietors that don't necessarily have a physical location attached to them. Yes, they are operating in the business sector. Yes, they are sole proprietors, but they don't have a physical address. Another thing to note about independent contractors or freelancers, they work based on the terms of their clients. So they don't have the liberty to choose what terms to work with or rather how to relate with their clients. They strictly do what the client wants them to do. So that is the first form in which a sole proprietorship kind of business can take. Number two, we have business ownership. Now, this is majorly the normal businesses that we know that are owned by one person. I tend to think that this is the most common kind of social proprietorship in the business sector because there are general shops that are being registered and being run and operated by one person. So, however, as compared to independent contractors or freelancers, there is some bit of autonomy in this kind of business, or rather in this kind of category, because as a sole trader or as a sole proprietor, I get to choose how to deliver my products, how to deliver my services. So, in as much as I'm in business, or rather I'm into business to offer a certain product or service, I don't necessarily choose the clients to work with. I work generally with everybody, but I choose how to run my own business and how to deliver my own products. So in this form, as we are going to be looking at, in this form, or rather in this category of sole proprietorship, this is where now the legal procedures come into place, because you are operating a physical business. You're operating a business that has a physical location, has probably an address, and has a business name registered to it. So we are going to be talking about that later. Then the third form which a sole proprietorship can take is what we call franchises. Now, what is a franchise? A franchise is basically a company of people that have been contracted by a certain company to perform business, or rather to conduct business on their behalf. So the best way to understand this is to think about what we call agents or social promoters. So say you have been contracted by company X, which produces, say, motor vehicles or any other product whatsoever. So as a social promoter, I'm not necessarily the permanent employee of this company that is manufacturing vehicles or any other product, but I come in as a promoter who wants to promote the brands, or rather the services of this company that is in question. So what I depend on as a sole trader or as a sole proprietor is on the commission that I'm going to earn after I make a sale or somebody makes a purchase over a product that I've promoted. So in this category of sole proprietorship, the business owner, who is a sole trader in this case, is paid based on commission and what we call royalties in this kind of business. So now that we understand the different types of sole proprietorship. We've talked about independent contractors and what we call freelancers. We've talked about business ownerships. We've talked about franchises. So what is the procedure of registering a sole proprietor? In this case, we are assuming that you want a physical shop and you want to start a physical business. You want to offer and run a business by your own place. You have an idea in mind. You want to set up a business at a specific place and have a physical address. So what is the procedure like? So number one, I would say you need to conduct a name search, because your business will need a name, most likely, especially if you want to operate a sole proprietorship that is bigger than, or rather you are eyeing a bigger kind of business that will eventually have employees. Most likely you require a business name. Now, the importance of names in businesses is that, number one, it will be very easy for people to identify your business. Number two, it adds on your credibility, because a lot of people tend to associate your products or services to the kind of business that you run. So if your business has a name, there is more credibility attached to it, because then that means you have a physical location, you have a physical address. So locating you might not necessarily be hard, because your clients or your customers know where to come to. So I would say that is the first thing when you want to register a sole proprietorship. Then number two, you will need to state the nature of your business. By this, I mean you need to understand, as a sole proprietor, what are you coming into the market to do? What services are you coming to offer? What products are you coming to offer? Where do you want your business location to be? What need necessarily are you coming to solve in the market? So that is it with pertaining to determining the nature of your business, because that will dictate the next step. So the third process of forming and registering a sole proprietorship kind of business is actually applying for the registration. Now, after you understand what you're coming to do in the market, after you understand what kind of business you want to start, you have your business name, you have all the details. Now, what happens in this stage? This is the stage where you detail down, or rather you document the kind and nature of business that you are coming to operate. Of course, this happens legally. There is a form that you are expected to fill, because at the end of the day, you want to operate a legal business. So there's a form we call a BN2, specifically in Kenya. This might differ in terms depending on the region or country that you are in, but the process is more or less the same when you are registering a sole proprietorship. So if you're in Kenya, there's a form that business owners fill, which we call a BN2. So a BN2 contains details about the type of business you're operating, the physical location if you have one, the business name if you have one, which you are supposed to have at this point. It contains, there are several documents that, as a business person or the business owner of the business you're trying to register, you will be required to submit to the registrar of companies in your country or state or whatever place you are trying to register your business in. So amongst the documents you will need of course your identifications as a business person. You'll require most likely passport photos to back that up. You'll require your taxpayer PIN, amongst other several documents, as you can see on your screen. So that is it with the third process of application for registration, or rather the registration process. So the next process, and this depends on how big you want your company to be, or how big you want your business to be. If you are looking into having more employees, or rather employing people in future, then you might require to go through this fourth step, which is applying and acquiring an employer identification number. Now, an employer identification number, I know this is not the first time we're talking about it, but it's basically a number that is given to businesses for the purposes of tax remittances, especially when your business is expected to pay tax or is going to pay tax separately as a sole proprietorship kind of business in any stage of your business. So with that, you will need an employer identification number. And this is also for sole proprietorship kind of businesses that are looking to employ more people in future. So if you are a sole entrepreneur or a sole proprietor that want to grow to that level, then you must go through this process. Then number 5 and the last process is issuance of certificate. So in this stage, what happens basically is you have conducted all your due diligence, you have filled all the relevant forms. So after all that is said and done, now you are issued with a registration certificate or rather a registration document to prove that you have registered formally your business. So in Kenya, that form is called a BN3, which is a kind of certificate that is given to the business person to ascertain that your business can now legally operate in the country. So again, in this stage, you need to ascertain or rather to find out whether you will require any other permits or any other licenses for your business to operate. This certificate of registration, what we are calling a BN3, might not necessarily be the only certification that your business needs. There might be other requirements that your business will need before it starts operating. So this is the point where you find out what other legalization your business will require before you begin operation. But basically, that is the process of forming a sole proprietorship. Number 1, we said you need to conduct a name search and register a business name for your company or rather for your business. Number 2, you'll need to state the nature of business that you're coming to operate. Number 3, you will need to apply for registration of your business. Number 4, if you are looking to expand or rather to grow to a level where you have employees or you pay taxes separately as a business, you will need an employer identification number. Then number 5 and the last one is the issuing of trade certificate and trade licenses. It's basically to ascertain that your business is now legal and can now begin operation. Now, having said that, how do sole proprietors pay their taxes? As a business, you might be a sole trader who has not necessarily grown to a level that you have employees or your business is paying taxes separately. If you are in that level, you are required by law to submit your tax remittances as an individual out of the net profit that your business is making. So what happens here is that the concerned body that is concerned with managing and collecting taxes in your country or in your area of jurisdiction, as a business, different brackets are assigned depending on the net profit that different businesses make. So a calculation is done, and out of the net profit that your business is making, they are able to come up with a category like normally how individuals pay taxes. So you get that a certain bracket or other category of people between, say you're earning between 10,000 and 20,000, you're supposed to pay amount X as tax. Between 21,000 to 30,000, you're supposed to pay amount Y as tax. So the same applies to sole proprietorship kind of businesses that are not separately paying taxes. So if you're in that form of business, that is how you remit your taxes out of the net profit of your business. However, if you have grown to a level where your business can now pay its own taxes, or rather your business is paying its own taxes, especially excise duty, you will be required to use your personal or rather your employer identification number for the purposes of tax remittances. So that's it about how you can pay taxes as a sole proprietor or as a sole trader. So let's now briefly look at the advantages and disadvantages of this kind of business ownership. So the number one advantage that stands out for me for this form of business is the fact that it's very easy and convenient in the formation process. There is no much documentation that you need to submit. Generally, the legal procedure is very easy and straightforward. Then number two, I would say the amount of capital required to start is not necessarily high as compared to these other types of businesses, or rather these other types of business ownerships. Then number three, I would say it is quick in decision making because you are the sole trader, meaning that you're running the business alone. So it is quick to make decisions concerning your business. Anytime you want to make any decision, there is no negotiation, there is no consultation. So the decisions are entirely dependent on you. So that tends to make the decision-making process for your business actually faster. The number 4, I would say the fact that you get to enjoy all the profits by yourself because you are the only owner of the business adds to its advantage. However, that being said, there are several disadvantages also attached to it. Number 1, I go back to capital. Sometimes you might want to start a business, a sole proprietorship kind of business, but you don't have enough capital to start. So that leaves you with you alone. You need to figure out how you're going to get your capital, or where you're going to get your capital from for you to begin. This means that this is not a partnership, so you won't have help from your partners to begin operation, or rather to get capital to begin operation. Then number 2, I would say this form of business ownership has unlimited liability. What I mean by this is you are the business and the business is you. So in case of any losses or any liabilities that your business suffers, you equally suffer the losses and liability as a trader, because your business is tied to you and you are tied to your business. So in case of any losses or liabilities, you are the one to cater for all that. The number 3 and the last disadvantage, I would say, in case anything happens to you, then that means your business is directly affected. So if you are going down, your business is going down with you. Generally, I would say those are the advantages and disadvantages of a sole proprietorship kind of business. And generally, that is what I can sum up as the process and how to start a sole proprietorship kind of business. So if you've made it to this point, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video and stay tuned for the next one. My name is Jeff Care. This is Imagine Business.